Thanks for checking out the Notsam Wrestling YouTube channel. I'm Sam Roberts. If you're not already, hit subscribe, hit like, because today X-Pac is here with us in studio. What can you say about X-Pac? One of the greatest inside the ring, some of the best stories outside the ring. We get into everything. From Jerry Lynn to depositions, the new Age Outlaws to Ric Flair. Leave some love for X-Pac in the comments. Let me know who else you want to see here in studio on Notsam Wrestling. If you'd rather listen to this podcast, you can get Notsam Wrestling wherever you get your audio podcasts. But let's give it up now to X-Pac. Hard to believe for the first time in the Notsam studio, but it is indeed for the first time in studio. He's been on the podcast a bunch before. He was the first guest on the WWE Network version of Notsam Wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean X-Pac Waltman has arrived. What's going on, man? How are you?
Arrived? I drove here with you.
Well, yeah, but like you're in the studio now, you know?
Yeah.
So how are you, man?
I'm great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You seem great. But you seem like when you're not doing great, do you like hide away for a while until you're doing great again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're not doing great, it's for me, I don't like to I don't like that to spread that to others, because that shit's contagious, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's contagious.
That whole energy that comes along with being in that kind of a state of mind.
Yep.
So it's just, I prefer not to do that to others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also it makes it so that people are like, oh yeah, I saw Pac the other day. Yeah, he's not doing great.
Right.
And you're like, I don't want...
Which no one would know, like no one would see me like and look at me and say that these days. But if you sat and talked to me for half an hour, you might get a clue.
He's in like a weird space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I mean, when I'm doing bad, that just means I'm, like it does. Drugs and alcohol aren't part of the equation anymore when I'm not doing good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Does that become a sliding scale now? Like bad, like doing not great now, still based on your life has to be like pretty freaking good.
It's funny you say that, Sam, because I try to explain that to certain people, because I used to, like when I was doing bad before, like, that was a whole nother level of bad, Sam. So, when things aren't great, it's still so much better than what it used to be. I don't even realize there's anything wrong sometimes, Sam.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, no, I'd be okay if this was normal based on what I was feeling before.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I just don't feel like getting out of bed today for the last 2 weeks. Oh, there might be something wrong.
Yeah. But it's not like you're unconscious for 2 weeks straight.
Exactly.
You're just the fact that you're aware of it is like still not that bad. Yeah. No. Yeah. I get it, man.
This is the thing that makes that helps is I always know, like, it's like I'm going to come through it.
Right.
Right. It's going to be a few weeks. It might be 3, 4, but like I always know I come through it.
Yeah.
And so.
Is there anything better though than when you come through it? Like, is there anything better than feeling like, oh my God, I think that whatever that fog was, whatever that feeling, like you can feel it when it's starting to go away.
It doesn't happen just like that, Sam. There's like like for instance, this time it was like, I started getting out of the house more, and like just, and then I went to the gym, did a little bit in the gym, and then, now I'm going to the gym for 2 days in a row. And then, and then also doing my show helps.
Yes.
It just helps.
You're talking about pro wrestling for life.
Yeah, pro wrestling for life,
Yeah.
For
life. Yeah.
But, so just all these things help. And so, like, it's not like all of a sudden, boom, somebody hit a light switch and I'm good again. It's just, it just all of a sudden, okay, yeah, I'm feeling.
Right. Like all things considered, you start taking inventory of your life.
Yeah. And then I'm like, going, okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clouds are parting, and the sun is coming through.
Yeah. How was it? Like, was it? You had knee surgery in January, right?
Yeah.
How was that? Because I would imagine, especially for somebody like you, it's one thing when you're an active wrestler and you're getting surgery because it's like, okay, I hurt myself, I'm going to go get surgery, or it's been, I've needed surgery for a while. I'm going to go get it, and then I'm going to get back on the road. But I feel like when you're out of the ring, some of those injuries that you should be getting surgery for, at least I see with other people, I feel like they just think for a while that they just have to live with it. This is just.
I did.
Yeah.
I've 13 years, man.
Yeah.
This happened I tore my ACL in like 08 or 07.
You remember exactly when it was?
Yeah. I was working with Adam Pierce.
Wow.
Yeah, it was an NWA world title match in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Wow.
And I was living in Mexico at the time.
Uh-huh.
So I was mainly working in Mexico, but I was doing these NWA shows. And I loved working with Adam Pierce.
Yeah.
But we would do some of the same spots in each match. And like, there's one spot, we'd do a block the hip toss and punch him in the gut and then do this backflip. And when I landed on that backflip that I've done literally thousands of times in my career, boom, then my ACL just gave up. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't finish the match. Every time I tried to take a step, it would just collapse. And it was really hard because it's the first time I've ever been conscious and not able to finish a match.
Wow.
Ever. Yeah, ever.
Wow.
Because no matter how bad I've been hurt before, broken neck, everything, I've been able to finish the match.
Man, so did you roll out of the ring and just
I can't remember what we did. I can't remember what we did for the finish, but it was the main event. So I was really concerned about, the people not getting their money's worth. And
yeah, but at that point too, I mean, I guess that's the plight of, I don't know, being a generous person, being a wrestler, whatever it is. It's at some point, as much as you want to give the people their money's worth, if they're a fan of yours, you would hope that they'd understand, oh, he had a torn ACL. I'm not gonna be mad at this guy for
those kind of thoughts go through my mind afterwards.
Right.
But in the middle of what's going on, it's oh man, I gotta finish this match.
Yeah, because that's there's no other option.
Yeah, it's just in your DNA, man.
Yeah.
You know?
So you sat there for you didn't get the surgery then, and you just had.
I never missed a match, Sam.
Oh my God.
No, they hid me in 6-mans, down in Mexico. You could just stand in the corner and they could, and then I'd get in there and throw a couple punches, get back out, and and then I went to Australia 2 weeks after, and fresh off I was on crutches and in wheelchair, in the airports. Going to Australia.
That's what I was gonna say. Most people wouldn't even want to fly that, let alone wrestle.
And then and I had a singles match with Daniel Bryan. Yeah, it was pretty good too, man. You could barely tell I was working with one leg.
I mean, that's literally a dream match for people.
Yeah,
and you had to do it with one leg.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, so and then that was the second time I ever had a match with Bryan, and the first one was on a New Japan dojo show. First, there was a super junior tournament they had in LA, and I worked with Bryan in that.
Wow.
But there was another time where I wasn't in good health. I was whacked out of my fucking mind, right?
Yeah.
And I was doing math and shit.
Yeah.
Not at that moment I was in the ring.
But in your life.
Yeah, man. I was wearing I borrowed somebody's karate gi,
you did the match in a karate gi? Oh my!
Because my body looked like shit, Sam.
Wow.
And I agreed to do the match, and I didn't want to back out of it. And I wasn't in good. I mean, I got through the match fine.
Yeah, sure.
I couldn't go very long.
Have you spoken to Daniel Bryan since then and been like, hey man, that wasn't me. There's a different thing going on in my life.
I don't think it needed to be said.
Right. It was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
So did you know when you were going back into those matches that your ACL was torn, or did you just knew your leg was fucked up?
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't had to, because I got X-rays right away, but they didn't do, MRIs.
Right.
I didn't officially know, until right before I had the surgery.
This year.
I didn't have the official diagnosis. I mean, I knew it was my ACL and meniscus, but the doctor had to tell me this is on the X-ray, because not the X-ray, the MRI. It was the first actually MRI I got of that injury.
Dude, that's crazy to me because I'm thinking about it now, and that means 13 years. That means literally every time I've ever seen you, you've had a torn ACL.
Yeah,
for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Wow. And you just like, so you just get to a point where you're like, this is, you know, I spent my life wrestling, and this is, you know, we wake up in pain, and this is what it is.
Well, it was just what the problem wasn't the pain. It was just my maneuverability and my mobility was really hampered bad. Like I couldn't do leapfrogs anymore. Like cutting angles. Like, it was just so much. Like I had to quit even trying to do certain things. Like, and just. Stick to what I knew I could do.
Yeah.
And no one could tell. As long as I didn't keep trying to do some of that shit,
You just ran like that's when you started just running the highlight reel, Bronco Buster.
And just figuring out what I could and couldn't do and sticking to what I could do. And, eventually I ended up just doing tags, and that. But like I had a great match with Generico after I tore all that. Like,
wow, that's so fun, especially because that's the match. That's the match that people talk about now. Everybody wants a SummerSlam match between X-Pac and Sami Zayn. You've heard about that, obviously, right? Yeah. And you're like, well, there's one with me and Generico, but it was one of the many years that I had a torn ACL.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, man. So what made you finally decide, I can go get this taken care of? I'm going to get this taken care of. Did a doctor go like, dude, you should have done this a decade ago?
Actually, it's a little bit like... It's not like that at all. And crazy enough. It has to do with not having health insurance, Sam.
You just couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. You wanted to, but you couldn't.
And also the amount of time. I needed to keep working.
Yes.
So I didn't have the time to take off.
Right.
10 months, man. Like, I was wrestling for a living still.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah. So you finally, you get into podcast world, you get that sweet podcast health insurance, and you
no, my wife's health insurance, man. That Writers Guild health insurance.
That's what I figured.
Doesn't get any better than that. They hate me.
The Writers Guild.
Oh yeah.
Milking them for every penny.
Oh yeah, I think I sent them for like $500,000 last year.
Yeah, you're like
between that and the hepatitis C treatment was like $100,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
like
that's fucking insane.
We're getting everything taken care of right
$1,000 a pill.
Jesus,
that's crazy.
It's insane.
And I wonder why poor people can't get it.
Right. I mean, there's no way. What do you think the cost of that is?
It's ridiculous because I'm going to tell you, you could buy the same exact medication. In India or Mexico for 10 times cheap, like literally like $1,000 for the whole treatment, as opposed to $1,000
per pill. That's insane, dude. That's insane. Have you ever? I tried that once. My wife caught me. Like, I just needed like an ointment, like a dry skin ointment for my eyelids.
Yeah.
And I had to get like a prescription one with like a little steroid in it.
Yeah.
But I was so lazy. I could have gone to the doctor. But I was so like, I don't want to go to the doctor, and there's a copay. And she caught me like Googling, like, can I get overseas prescription for this? And she's like, you can just call and get a refill. And I was like, oh.
Oh, you didn't know?
I didn't. No, I had no idea. I had no idea how it worked. No, I didn't know how to do adult stuff. So you finally got it done. Do you feel like, I mean.
I couldn't believe how helpless I was, Sam, after the surgery.
I mean, it's
my God. Holy. And then
I guess that's the other thing, right? You need somebody that'll take care of you after you get surgery.
My wife was like, I couldn't tell her what to expect because I had no idea, man. Like I thought, okay, yeah, it's gonna suck. I'm gonna crash it. Like I literally couldn't get out of bed.
Wow.
Yeah.
For how long?
I don't know. It was a little bit, Sam. And then eventually once 6 weeks into it, when I was able to actually put some weight on the leg and start trying to walk, I couldn't believe it. Like trying to walk on that, I couldn't.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like almost relearning to walk, if that
like
makes sense.
Yeah, like those like baby deer legs, like the shaky,
man.
like
yes.
And you also obviously can't work out the whole time because you keep yourself in good shape. Like you can't
usually.
You can't, like, you still look like a wrestler when people meet. You look like a wrestler sitting across from me right now. Maybe it's because you're sitting across from me. I don't know. But you look
especially like a a 2010 version, 2000, like this era's version. I mean, I remember obviously there was a time when you don't look like a wrestler.
Right? Yeah. No, you're bigger than most wrestlers.
now.
Yeah. Which is crazy. We've had that conversation before that, like you coming in as the kid, compared to the guys, it was like I figured you were my size.
I was bigger then than I am now.
That's incredible, dude.
It was distributed. I was baby fat,
right?
And, chubby cheeks and shit.
During that time, like I've talked to a lot of people now that like when they're on the indies, they talk about, I'm always so interested in how you get buzz, like how wrestlers and even over time have gotten people talking about them because it's still like it's never not been important. It's just so important, and like now it's like independent wrestlers are becoming camera aware.
You have to be your own producer, your own editor, your own like all of that shit.
And it was really
it's all
interesting.
part of the deal now.
Yeah, it's like you not only need to have the match of the night, but you need to have the spot that's going to become the GIF that's going to go on Twitter. Like you need the clip of the night that's going to get people talking and everything. But I bring that up because like I think about you, and you're one of the first guys who, when you got to WWE, I was just at the right kind of age where I knew who you were because I knew you from the magazines.
Yeah.
Like I'd seen a little bit, like I definitely had watched GWF because I would come home and it was on ESPN every day, right? So I would watch GWF, but really I knew who the Lightning Kid was from the magazines. And so when you showed up and your gear still said L Kid and everything on it, I was like, I felt like it was like the version of being like the internet,
you're on
like
the inside,
smart. Exactly. It was the first
some
time.
Inside info.
Yeah.
I know who he is.
I know who he is.
Yeah.
They call him the Kamikaze Kid, but he's the Lightning Kid.
See
I
that
know.
L?
yeah. That's what the L.
Do you know what's funny? When the first time I came out into the Manhattan Center, I forget if it was. I forget if it was Curtis Hughes or Matt Bourne that squashed me first. But anyways, the first time I came out, Vince didn't think anybody knew who I was. The whole fucking building knew who I was and would chant my name. And he's like...
Yeah, because it's New York and it's the Manhattan Center. It's like the smartest fans in existence. And you're on television. Like GWF was on television and every single day. That's what people don't realize is that GWF was on Monday through Friday on ESPN at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So like you'd get home from school and you'd watch it. Plus the afterbags were like everything back then. Yeah. So like, were you...
I was happy before GWF. I was happy because PWA had its own set of ratings and the after ratings.
Oh.
My Minnesota promotion. And, that Jerry and I worked for.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. I would read all of those top 10s. And I wouldn't know any of the names, but you'd read like all of them. I mean, I remember like when the PWI 500 came out, you would read every single name in the thing because you'd be like, I don't know who all these guys are, but especially anybody in the top 200, I need to go figure out who these people are.
Well, specifically like in the PWA rankings, I was really like excited because there would be like Sheik Adnan El Casey or some other name that you'd heard of.
You'd know that name,
mixed in with my name.
Right.
So it gave me credibility because I'm a real pro wrestler.
Instant credibility. Yeah, people became fans of you based on like your name placement on a list and a photo. Like you could have fans before they ever saw you wrestle. So you were aware of that? Like when you'd be at shows and you'd see photographers, would you specifically like, was that the style?
I wasn't that savvy. Mm-hmm. But like I was as far as like being out there and going, hey, I learned more of that from Scott Hall.
Really?
Yeah, we would do that for like George Napolitano and like a lot of the Japanese photographers, and we would always, you could see it on TV sometimes, like when we would just go to them,
pose for the
yeah. Bill Otten, I don't know if you know Bill, but he was a Florida photographer. For the Japanese magazines.
That was when they would let photographers at ringside for WWE shows. Yeah. Did you like that, or did you not? I did. You did. Yeah. Because publicity. Yeah. Wow.
And they were from my, like I grew up like I knew Bill Otten, photographer, since I was 10 years old. Like he put me in one of I was in a Japanese wrestling magazine. I was like 10 years old.
As a fan?
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool.
And then you grow up, and then he sees like, hey, look at that little shit that fucking I put in the magazine. Now he's a big star. And it was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, run into all the same people that remember me from being a kid. You know?
Yeah. And I mean, and it adds like story to the whole thing, and everybody knows like, oh no, he's been obsessed with this since he's a little kid.
Yeah, like so. Somehow the subject came up about like upset wins. You know, my 1, 2, 3 kid.
Yeah.
Razor. And so we were talking about other upsets, and like one that happened like when I was a kid, and I was there for it, and I can't remember what happened. Dusty was supposed to have Florida world title matches with Flair, and Flair's tour of Florida that time, and something happened. Fell through. Dusty couldn't be on the show, so Flair had a match on TV with Scott McGee. I don't know if you even know who that is, but
no, I thought Tom McGee, but that's a different guy. Yeah.
He was really good. Scott McGee, like the Dynamite Kid episode of the Dark Side of the Ring.
Yes.
Scott McGee talks a lot in there.
That's where I just heard the name. Yeah.
But Flair, Scott McGee beat Ric Flair on TV with the German suplex, 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
And I was in the front row, and you could watch it you could go find it on YouTube. And you could see me jumping up and down. I've never been more excited in my life. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was so ecstatic that Scott McGee, it worked, man. And I went and saw the shows.
Yeah.
Like I went to the shows where Rick worked with Scott McGee around the loop, and
so I guess that's what it is, because you've seen it happen once. Now you know it can happen.
But like all that to say, you see me standing and like you see me like as a little kid on these TV shows, or like Saturday Night's Main Event with, Hulk Hogan versus Terry Funk, and opposite hard camera. There's me with a Hulkamania shirt on, or like, you could see me in the crowd at all these shows,
Do you think about that stuff like to this day, like when the idea that like you're sitting there and you're teammates with Hogan, flash forward 10, 15 years, you're teammates with Hogan, and even more, like I wanted to talk about this anyway before you even brought up Flair. But like, I feel like when we talk about matches of yours that I like I feel like I've talked to you about the Brett match a bunch. Yeah. I went on your show, Pro Wrestling for Life, to talk about the Eddie Guerrero ladder match. Yeah. But I feel like one that doesn't get talked about enough is the Flair match that you had from Road Wild.
My only problem is this where we did it.
Because it was in Sturgis with the, yeah.
Man, if that would have been in like Chicago Allstate Arena or some shit like that, man, or Philly, or Charlotte, or
I was watching it recently, and I just thought it was so cool, like watching Flair kind of adapt to your style, like taking an insecurity, and like it felt like,
and he let me run the match.
Really? Yeah. I was thinking like, so is it tough at that point to be like, hey Flair, I'm going to give you a Bronco Buster, or at that point was it a stab?
He just did it, man. He just yielded because, like Rick, like so one time, like bless his heart, because he's the greatest of all fucking time. I'm sorry, but he just loved, like one time I'm having a match with him at Philly at the Spectrum, and it's just a house show, and so he gets there like, I don't know, one of us got there late, and I was just like, I'll just listen to you, Nate. He had me fucking doing Ricky Steamboat. I'm the heel, and I'm like flipping behind him, rolling him up. Every fucking babyface spot Ricky Steamboat did with him, he had me doing. I'm like, we can't do this. People don't want to see this. It's good, but they just want to see you kick my ass, Nate. And he's like, I'll just pull a handful of trunks. I'm like, no, figure 4. Fuck.
But I guess that goes back. I mean, he just must be so much more comfortable as a heel and being that Nature Boy guy that, like, I probably, because that was right after the promo where you had the big fake nose and the fake crying and everything, right? So the whole thing was built around, let's see this obnoxious guy get his comeuppance against this legend. But the legend was like, I'll just pull the tights.
I mean, Rick was the kind of guy, he's a heel, he cheats.
Right.
Ric Flair would be working with Mike Jackson on TV and put his feet on the ropes to pin him, just for the sake of it.
Right. Just because, that's how he wanted to win. Yeah, if you can, that's that, like, win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. Yeah. Always cheat. Yeah. So do you think about that stuff, like growing up as a fan and like having a Hulkamania shirt and like flipping out in a Ric Flair match in the front row, and then
I just had the shirt. I wasn't the biggest Hulk. I wasn't like a Hulkamaniac. It was just, hey man,
That's the shirt you get.
Hulkamania shirt,
Right.
right? Like everyone should have one.
Right. It's like an NWO shirt now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You got to have one.
But oh man, it blows my mind sometimes.
Yeah.
Like especially the Flair stuff, because like it got real personal. Like
Yeah.
Like when I had Rick on, we talked about it, and he was like, "No, it was all good," but at the time there were hard feelings, man.
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine, because
And I don't blame him. I went in hard on him, man, and there was part of me that like it hurt to do it, because I was still like a big Ric Flair mark. He's the greatest.
Yeah,
it's fucking Nate, and but hey, like I had this impression that he was trying to hold me down, and that's all I had to hear, and boom, that lit a fire under my ass, and next thing you know, I'm talking about his wife on TV.
Yeah, and the
shit like that.
The NWO thing was real too. It was like, we're cool, you're not, and this ain't wrestling. Like we're pushing you out to pasture, and so you have the Horsemen and every person, because WCW had was just steeped in the tradition of the NWA, and it was like you guys were coming in and being like, no, we don't do that shit anymore. It's lame. Yeah. And like when fans jumped to your side, you put everybody in a position where they really had to fight for those spots, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
Yeah. But what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Evolution happens. What are you going to do?
And eventually some people, like, got their shit together. Like DDP was over huge, and Stinger, and, obviously.
Yeah, Sting. And
it wasn't like just to be honest, when NWO first started and Sting with the hair growing out, and it wasn't a weird stage, and it wasn't blonde anymore, but it wasn't long either, and he's still trying to do the. It's
like that period. Yeah, when Sting had his brown hair, he was trying to be more natural, but he was still going like, whoop. Yeah. Like it was like when Kiss took off their makeup and had to have that.
It wasn't as good as that.
It wasn't even as good as that.
Because that tour, I saw that Kiss tour, and it was great.
Yeah.
Licking up and all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. But you have to take that dip where it's like, oh, this isn't working anymore. And then you have to find that next thing. I was talking to somebody very recently about how like the Sting thing is so nuts, because he's still, like, to this day, everybody wants to see Sting in the crow paint. And like the people that are cheering him now, most of them haven't even ever seen that movie. They don't get the reference. They don't know. He just didn't,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Nobody. Yeah. People don't like the Crow hasn't stood up as like an all-time. People still like it, I'm sure, but it's not one of these like, oh, everybody's seen the Crow, but everybody's seen Sting. It's amazing. And Goldberg too, by the way. When you're talking about like WCW guys that ended up getting over anyway, it was like it was DDP, it was Sting, and it was Goldberg, right?
Yeah, but Bill didn't get like he was there and all that when I was still there, but like him actually getting over happened after I left.
Right.
Because like when I was there, I remember him, he was trying to figure out a name.
Really?
Yeah. And he was just like, he's like his honest to God, like idea for a name was, what if we call myself the Hybrid? And it's like, well, what is that? And he's like, what, just use your name. He's like, Goldberg. Like, yeah, but it's like maybe not cool now, but look at you, dude. It will be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Because the Hybrid would never have been cool.
No,
never would have worked. It would have been like if John Cena had showed up as the prototype. Yeah. Like it wouldn't have happened. Like that way wouldn't.
Exactly.
In WWE, like the prototype would never have evolved into. It's just like, because you're in a box now. Yeah. No, the Hybrid would have been rough. We were talking about promos actually recently on the podcast, and I was like breaking down like the most important promos in wrestling, and to me, like Hogan's New World Organization,
wrestling?
Yeah. that promo always comes up, but I've always thought that when it comes to the NWO, Hall's first promo, you know who I am, but you don't know why I hear it. That's the promo to me, right?
Yeah, and he's just so great at it, man. Takes his time speaking, and
when he gets
doesn't try to say clever catchphrase or it just the coolness comes out.
Yep. Yep. Even when he's in the ring, and like the other guy, like Mike Enos and the other guy, they're like, he's not. I was like, I'm not coming in to beat you up, but like I'm coming in, so get out of here. Yeah. for me, I think that's the promo. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause that's what got everybody talking. That's what starts everything off. And then your promo came up a lot too. Obviously, the first night after WrestleMania 14 when you came back to WWE. But I saw you doing an interview recently where you said that I didn't even know that you got sued and had to do a deposition about the promo.
Yeah.
When you're doing a deposition about a promo like that, like, is there a lawyer that goes goes point by point on the promo? Like, now, how do you know Mr. Bischoff was up Mr. Hogan's ass?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, things like that. Like one of the questions was, and my attorney, David Olson, who was like, you know, he was a lot of our, like, he's the one that sued for Jesse Ventura and won all that fucking money for Jesse. So he wasn't very popular.
Right.
Anyways, actually, once Jesse became
the governor.
Oh yeah, all of a sudden
it's all good.
They were on all the Christmas card lists again and everything.
Yeah.
But no, David, my lawyer, sat in with me on that during that deposition, and one of the questions was like, "Suck it." What is that? Suck what? I'm like, my dick. What do you want me to say?
You're like, the art of this is that we don't ever say it, but what do you think? A lawyer asked you, suck what exactly?
What is that? What's the relevance to this? Just to try to make me look like I'm a piece of shit? Do a good enough job of that on my own.
I would love it if that's a video.
The deposition?
The deposition that needs to come out.
Yeah.
Like,
you should have seen the look on this poor fucking guy's face.
The lawyer? Like the prosecutor?
No, the lawyer during the deposition.
Yeah.
Like, because he's just thinking, you know, oh, I got him now. Like, he's like, so why did you say Kevin Nash and Scott Hall would be right there with you if they weren't being held hostage by WCW? And I'm like, I said, well, like the night before, I was talking to Kevin on the phone, and he told me it would be really cool if I said that. And the guy's just like, oh, fuck. Because that's the truth, man. That's exactly what fucking happened.
You know what you should say? Yeah, I'll say that. And then the lawyer's like, what knowledge did you have? It's like, but also like.
And then he's like, oh, and there's another one. He's like, you guys trespassing CNN tower.
Oh, for the invasion? Like,
it's like, huh, like, how did you get passes? Like, I'm like, well, when we showed up, like security came and they were getting ready to kick us out. And then Vice President of Turner Broadcasting, Dick Cheatham, came running out and went, DX, I love these guys. Give them all all access passes. So they fucking opened the door up and like, hey, come on in. Like, we had passed like all access to the fucking CNN tower.
Oh my God. You see, that's why you sometimes need an organization where one guy is running everything. Because when you have a committee of people, one DX fan, Dick Cheatham is going to...
And Hunter remembered Dick, too, from when Hunter, when he was working there before he left.
That's so great. Dick Cheatham, by the way, sounds like a fake name, like Dick Cheatham.
And like we kept saying, like putting him on camera with us, Dick Cheatham, everyone. And he's just fucking hamming it up. I wonder if he heard about it.
He must have. I mean, he must have. Like,
what the fuck's the matter with you?
But like, what did he think? Like, there are cameras there. What did he think was going to happen?
I don't think he gave a fuck.
He was just excited. He just saw DX. He's like, suck it. This is awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
He probably was like, oh, we own WCW?
That's probably right. That's probably right. Did you ever have, because I know, like, you're a pretty loyal guy. Did you... When you left WWE, when you go to WCW, when you're really successful over there as Six, NWO, you come back to WWE. Was there any part of you that was like, I don't want to mess with the WCW guys. Those are my other family. Or were you like, nah, no. WWE's always been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always knew I was going to end up back at WWE.
Right.
I didn't know when.
Yeah.
But I always knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was never 1 second where I thought WWE was going out of business.
You knew.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Do you, we were talking about tag teams too recently. Do you think the New Age Outlaws are an underrated tag team?
I used to joke with them about it. I always tell them, you guys are the greatest tag team that never had a tag match. They would have 2 singles matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really weird, but it was successful.
It was,
and I am not going to argue with it.
Yeah, it was super successful. And like they were having singles matches, but then when they tried to separate them, it didn't work.
Right.
So they had to be a tag team that was having singles matches. But I also think...
I mean, they would tag in and out to get in and out of the ring, but like the actual... Like what makes up a tag match was missing.
Right. It was like, I'm going to go in and do my shit, and you're going to go in and do your shit, and then we'll pin them.
Yeah. And all that to say, they were great.
Awesome.
Like.
But that's part of DX,
it was just,
too,
they
right?
were different, man.
It's so non-traditional. Like, it shouldn't work. Like, we're turning everything on its head.
Yeah.
That started with the stuff you're doing in the NWO, and I think... that second version of DX, I was talking to Mansuri on a podcast recently about it, and it was like, I feel like the New Age Outlaws 2 were super necessary for that second version of DX, because I feel like when DX formed, it was like clearly what was left of the Clique, right?
Yeah.
DX and the Clique were the same thing. Triple H, Shawn, China, you know. When you came in, and Hunter even said, you go to your friends, you go to the Clique, and it's like, oh, okay. But when it was just you, China, and Hunter, it was like very reminiscent of Shawn, China, and Hunter. So at the end of the night, when you realize the Outlaws are in this too, that to me was the ingredient that you were like, oh, this is going to be different now. This isn't like X-Pac is here to be the new Triple H.
They're like, yeah,
it's just
they're a threat.
Yeah, and it's a different deal. It's like X-Pac's not here to be the new Triple H. Triple H isn't going to be the new Shawn. It's like, this is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
And like one of the rare instances, I think, where the second version is probably better than the first version.
Probably. But it wouldn't, you know. I mean, it was just the thing, man. It's just, that's just how it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Shawn got hurt. Like that's
right.
The only reason. Like he wasn't.
So if Shawn hadn't gotten hurt, do you think you would have come in and just joined that version of DX?
I imagine.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
it would have made sense, right?
If everything would have happened the same, but Shawn was still there, I still think I would have came back
and joined DX.
Yeah.
The Outlaws probably wouldn't have joined right away.
Maybe not.
Right, depending on how big they wanted to make the group.
Because
but the Outlaws were doing their thing.
They were talking about bringing them on before
you came over.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was because they were that other kind of edgy.
Yeah.
Tag
they had
team
like a loose
before.
association, anyways, or
yeah. Man, that's wild to think about, though. The idea that like it could have been you, Shawn, Hunter, and that would have been kind of the.
And that's funny because like, and you're right when you say that. Like, I wasn't replacing, Shawn, or I wasn't taking Hunter, like.
Yeah.
And we couldn't have done it like that.
No.
Because like there's no replacing that guy.
Yeah.
And like that would have been a lot of pressure. Like, how do you and I never felt that. Oh man, I got big shoes to fill because I wasn't filling any shoes. It was
just
my
you.
Own, yeah.
You going out there to be you.
Yeah. And Shawn's spot was still there when he was ready to come back.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't take his spot. Like I couldn't,
Yeah. Yeah. Who was somebody in WCW that you really enjoyed working with that we might not expect?
Oh, wow.
I mean, I'm sure the cruiserweights and everything, but like, who was somebody that it was like, you know what? He was actually great.
For me personally, Lex Luger.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it about Lex?
Because he was over as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
He it was easy to work with. I just knew certain things were going to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was real, like, I got hurt. I broke my neck in there with him, but it was a total freak accident. He's just one of the safest guys I've ever been in the ring with.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. And he was, when I was having those house show run with him and singles and then some 6-mans or tags, sometimes like him and Big Show would work with Scott, Kevin, and I on house shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was great, man. Like sometimes the matches were short, but the people they were going crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And Lex Luger was like, he's probably in that group of people when he was like, he was one of the few like WCW, good guys that they had left that could compete with you guys. Were you, when you went to WCW, was there an understanding that, like, did you have a conversation of, yeah, but I want to be perceived at a certain level? Because, I mean, pretty quick you were in there. It's not like they were like, you're going to be the NWO Cruiserweight guy. You were working with the main event guys.
Yes.
Like, was that a conversation that you had, or was it just natural?
It just happened that way. And, like, I would have been happy to have a conversation about it if it was necessary. It just wasn't, you know?
Yeah. That was your intention from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's just, luckily, you guys were on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Was there anybody who didn't think you should be in that position? Like, was there anybody that, like, was like, well, why am I working with him instead of working with, like, Hogan or Hall or Nash? There were people like that who didn't like it. Oh, really?
Nate and Roddy for that 6-man we had. Like, yeah, because, you know, it was Nate's return.
Right.
You know, and I get it, man. Hulk Hogan in that match makes it a way bigger deal. Let's be honest. But it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
And man, and I got, you know, people in my ear. Hey, they're trying to hold you down. They don't want you in the match. Like, they want Hogan, not you. And oh man, that's when I started going like,
okay. So that's where it came from.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's funny. I mean, you get it.
They were right.
Right.
But I was hungry, Sam, like as hungry as a motherfucker's ever been in wrestling.
Yeah. That's what I also feel like. And maybe that's why I like that Ric Flair match so much, is because I felt like I could tell that you knew what the perception was. Yeah. And your whole goal was to just prove everybody wrong and like say,
and there was never a moment, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like you could probably tell I wasn't intimidated out there.
Not for a minute. That's what I mean. It was like, no, this is my spot. Not only am I going to prove to you that this is the match I should be having, it's going to be the best match of the night.
I don't know if it was, but it was probably pretty close.
And that's probably what you wanted.
Yeah.
And you didn't. Yeah. There was no sort of, was there any point in your career where you did have that? Like for instance, like maybe when they started X Factor and it was like, okay, you're going to lead your own stable now. At that point, was it like, oh, I haven't been in this position before. I don't know. I've been in a lot of stables, but not as the leader, or is that really not how you think?
No, I was happy to do it.
Yeah.
You know, like it was, look, that faction, it served its purpose well. Mm-hmm. You know, like we got, you know, like Prince Albert coming out of there was a monster, man. And like he picked up real quick. I don't know, I might have been telling you about it before. Just he soaked it up like a sponge, man. He was just I've never seen anybody as coachable and, you know, and pick things up that quick. Yeah. And like he was, you know, anyways, we weren't the top act, but you could put us anywhere, you know. And
you were supposed to be, you're saying. Like it was what it was intended to be.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we were heels. We weren't trying to be baby faces.
Right.
And, you know, and we got booze.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Was there ever a period of time when you were intimidated? Like, was there ever a spot you were put in where you were like, boy, I don't know?
Oh, as far as that,
in general,
I thought you might be intimidated physically in the ring by somebody.
Oh no,
you were talking about.
I wouldn't think
the task at hand.
Yeah, like, am I capable of pulling this off?
No,
you were always good to go.
Yeah, I never thought I was the greatest talker in wrestling ever.
Right,
but like I knew like people fucking hated me.
Right,
you know, as a villain, and I knew people knew I was pretty good.
Yeah, and as a hero, I mean, I would imagine that like you had no problem accepting that you were the underdog and that people wanted to see you squeak one out and surprise everybody, shock the world. Yeah. Like, you know, why do you think Jerry Lynn never got more opportunities in like WCW and WWE? Like, I know, like, of course he was, you know, Mr. JL in WCW, and like he did go to WWE after ECW and have a run with the Cruiserweight title and everything. But like, when you look at the stuff that you guys did in GWF,
yeah,
and you look at the stuff that he even did in ECW with Rob
and
Van Dam,
ROH,
and the stuff he did in
he
ROH,
was on top there
after.
Yeah,
like it's amazing that he was still going.
One
like,
of the best I've ever been in a ring with ever.
So, yeah, I mean he's amazing. Mm-hmm. No, like think about that time period too. That he's still having these incredible, like,
Yeah, because he's like almost 10 years older than me.
dude, to like go from the GWF era to the ECW era to the Ring of Honor era, like nobody's got.
And competing on that, like that high of a level.
Why do you think that it didn't happen? Like, why don't you think, maybe not main event, but even top mid-card level in WWE?
He's just too nice.
Really?
Yeah, didn't have enough asshole in him.
So at that point, you had to have that
A little bit
to get ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he just sucked at politics. And
wow.
Yeah.
So was it because people would like?
I mean, I wasn't around when he was in WCW, or I just, from my personal, knowing Jerry and just how he's just the sweetest guy in the world.
And when you are that way, do people like walk on at that time? People would walk on you and take advantage of you.
I
and
think
go,
so.
Like, oh, he'll be around for whatever.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
When did you start to get kind of a chip on your shoulder, or did you? I would assume that you
did
because you got
one.
success. You always did.
Yeah. Even back then, when I was working with Jerry, I had a fucking
even in like GWF days, you had a chip on your shoulder.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
I wanted to make sure like no one like. It was very important, like especially like in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Living up in that city, and like I was trying so hard to be a tough guy, like Road Warriors and Rude and all those guys bouncing. Like I bounced a little bit in the club, like a couple clubs up there. I got in fucking fights all the time.
Because you're such a baby face. Like you're such like this like unassuming face. Did people just like want to test you?
I didn't run from it. Like
right.
I was happy to do it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted people to think I was tough.
Right. And that's the thing. You had this look where it's like, look, I'm not going to show up and people are going to think I'm tough. I'm going to have to win some fights.
Yeah.
Or at least
Stuff
get
like
in some
that.
fights.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to win them all, I guess. Wow. So then did you walk in with that chip on your shoulder because you knew you were good, or just because you knew you can handle yourself?
That, and just like, you know what people think when they get a first glimpse on you or at you. And so, it's just all about like, I'll show them.
Right. It's like, it's like being that guy in jail who's got to knock somebody out the first day. So you know what it is. So when did wrestling really click in for you to the point where you were like, yeah, I'm really good at this? Like, everybody tells those stories, even in the 1, 2, 3 Kid days, where they would put guys in the ring with you to test them out. And because, you're going to have a good match with anybody. And then you're going to be able to tell whoever, this guy was good, this guy sucked.
Looking back on it, I would hate to be in that position now to know, like, hey, like if I give this or like a thumbs up or thumb down, that decides whether a guy could feed his family or not. Fuck.
Yeah. Well, you're I guess you're a kinder-hearted person now. You probably didn't even consider that then.
No, and I never really I don't remember ever going like this to anybody. It was just like they saw me have a match with certain people, and maybe what
and it's not like you were the final word.
Exactly.
It was just they they valued your opinion. Yeah. So when did that start to happen where they were like, you knew you were good or the best, and also it was backed up by people around you? Yeah. When did that start?
Like I never thought I was the best, but I always thought I was pretty fucking good.
When did good come?
Or great, however you want to put it. Like, just,
I
always thought I belonged there.
Yeah. And you got to be, and I think great is fair. You got to be great to be on that level. Anywhere, to be consistently in the WWE on that level, then go to WCW and still you have to be great. So I think that's fair.
Yeah, having friends in right places doesn't fucking do the trick.
No, it
takes a lot more than that.
Yeah. Friends in the right places will get you like one moment.
Beefcake or like,
exactly. Yeah. So at what point did great happen for you?
In my, like in that 1, 2, 3 Kid time, matches like the King of the Ring match, Owen, and and then they give me the opportunity with Brett, and
So that's kind of when it's like they lined up these opportunities for you and you knocked them out of the park, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm that guy. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you feel like, you talk about Brutus and it's like, the being a quote unquote friend of Hogan has always had that connotation. Do you feel like because you were a friend of Shawn and, Diesel and Razor, like, do you feel like you had to prove that you weren't that you weren't there because of nepotism, or did
Never thought about it.
you never even thought about
Nope. Never crossed my mind.
Because I guess because it's like, look what's going on in the ring.
Yeah,
like, what do you
exactly.
why do you think
It's
I'm
like,
here?
Come on.
Yeah.
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 I mean, one thing if we're stinking the place up, and
Yeah.
look at people were,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
And I think too, it's a different deal when, like, there's certain people who have friends that, like, not saying anything about anybody, but they want to have friends that are kind of below. And there are other people that want to have friends where everybody's good, right?
Yeah.
It's a different deal.
I remember noticing somebody I was in a relationship with. I noticed that she always surrounded herself with people that were way lower than her on the look scale.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And she was the
Yeah.
king shit of the fucking crew, right?
Right. Or you, like, meet people who have like a real small amount of fame, like real small. And they have everybody around them just thinks like they're the shit. And it's like,
yeah,
this isn't healthy, dude. Like,
right.
like this is how much do you need your ego stroked? You know what I mean?
Oh, they need it.
Yeah.
That's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew.
But I feel like you guys, like the clique, historically was like,
we didn't need anyone to put us like
no,
that
it was
because
everybody.
we were, dude. We did enough of that ourselves to each other in the car,
just putting each
other over. Yeah.
I love Scott Hall's stories when he tells stories about walking into buildings and meeting people for the first time and telling them how to take his finisher.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the
tuck your chin. And he fucking told that to bully Bubba Dudley.
Oh my God. And it's like, so when he's doing stuff like that, is he messing with them or is he being serious or kind of both?
Ribbon on the square, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
So it's so funny because if it's gonna bother you, it's gonna bother you a lot.
Yeah.
Like those are the like it's either not gonna bother you or it's gonna drive you crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess that also had to be the way it had to be for you guys back in the day too, right? It was like that's kind of was your sense of humors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark. Yeah.
But funny. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes funny, sometimes probably too dark, but oftentimes still.
Sometimes both. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was dark, but still funny.
Yeah. Yeah. It can exist, right?
They're not mutually exclusive.
So, how long did you live in Mexico?
4 years.
And, I mean, did you learn how to speak Spanish? Did you feel like you were acclimated to the culture? Did you think you were going to stay there for even longer? Or was it just like, this is where I'm working, this is where I'm staying?
I considered staying there. Like when Hulk and Bischoff got hired by TNA and then they decided to bring, Kevin Scott and then they called me, like they hadn't called me, I might still be in fucking Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you, so when that did happen, I'm glad you brought that up actually. I wouldn't have thought of it. The TNA thing when they moved to Mondays and kind of.
Yeah.
And
they talked about wanting to fire the first shot in a war. Like, I'm like, and so I told them this, and they did not want any fucking part of this, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if you really want to fucking start a war, you give them a taste of their own medicine.
Mm-hmm.
We go and invade them. They didn't
First day.
Yeah, they didn't want any fucking part of that. TNA didn't.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's probably why it never really.
That's why they didn't
worked,
fucking
right?
win.
Yeah, or even close. Like it was like throwing stones at a tank. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Did you think, was there any point in that thing that you were like, oh, this might spark off and become something? Or did you kind of know?
Like the first week or whatever, like we were hoping.
It was exciting that first week. Like, wasn't that the first week that you had the red cage match? That was the first week, right? Where Homicide was in it.
I don't remember.
Jeff Hardy came.
There was a cage match with RVD and Jeff Hardy, and poor Rob, I knocked him out fucking cold, man.
You did?
Yeah, it was weird because we were in this cage, and Kevin and I are in this cage. Was it Scott in there too? No, I think it was Kevin and I. And like we were supposed to get out of the cage and meet Jeff Hardy and RVD in the aisle and fight with them. And fucking no one else could get out of the cage because they couldn't fit through the row. And like, I had to go out there and kick Jeff and RVD's ass all by myself. And so I hit fucking Rob with a kick and knocked him out cold. And like, he didn't even know what I was talking about when I apologized to him until like a week later. He goes, "Oh yeah, I didn't even know what you were talking about. Yeah, you knocked me out cold. I don't remember anything in the fucking match."
Wow.
Yeah. But like, he didn't give a fuck because he's thrown a few spuds in his life too, right?
That's what I've heard. That he likes to hit hard.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah. You've never minded. Obviously, you've never minded that. You come from Minnesota, right?
Exactly.
You're ready to go.
Legendary tough guys up where I'm from.
Yeah. Is that so? Do you have a preference? Like, do you like? Because Daniel Bryan's the same way. He said that he loves wrestling Sheamus because like they hit hard. It's snug.
Feels good.
Yeah. Is that your preferred style, or it just depends on the given scenario?
If I'm healthy, that's a preferred. I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
How come?
I mean, okay, so like if I'm in just like some tag match on a show, or but like if we're having a real serious match, like I like it like that. It's easier to get into it.
I gotcha.
It's just like more authentic.
Right. You're going to believe it's real because you feel it.
Yeah.
And then the audience is going to see that you believe it's real, and then they're going to feel it.
And there's also, like, for me personally, like, and I know it sounds kind of fucked up, but like there's a part of me that gets off on it.
Really?
Yeah. That likes the pain.
Does it go back to Minnesota and being the tough guy who can handle it?
I think it goes further than that.
Yeah.
If I had to guess. But man, like, you see like a lot of the kendo stick stuff they're doing now. Like I had Zorro do that to me in Mexico. They tortured me, man. Like they had me tied to the ropes and anyways, it fucked me up.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know how I got off on that Zorro subject, but
I mean, you're a tough guy. You're talking about being tough,
legendary.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And also like it just trying to fool the people and just making them go, "Oh, this can't be a work. How could this be a work?"
Because it's not.
Yeah.
Because it ain't. Is there stuff though that like I'm always really fascinated with the decisions people make, and it's usually younger people, because by the time you get older, you realize not to do that. But like the stuff that really hurts but doesn't look as good.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, why are you doing that? Like, did you have to learn not to do that stuff, or were you always able to avoid it?
Oh, some of it you don't realize it doesn't look good until you watch it back, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. So
that makes sense. So now that the knee's fixed, I saw you on the bump.
Yeah.
Dropping little hints about maybe wrestling again.
I have a few matches.
You got a few matches in you think?
Yeah, a couple.
Do you have any people in mind, whether it's partners or opponents, that you're like, I'd really like to work with that person?
Some stuff came up with Escobar.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he brought, like when he heard I was having, talking about having a few more matches, he kind of chimed in and was like, "Hey," and so I'm like, "Okay," like
that would be sick.
Yeah, he's the shit.
Yeah, he is. Did you see him? I think it was at the Halloween Havoc that they did, wearing Ray's tights from '97.
I don't know if I saw that, but
he wore like the purple tights that Ray wore in the match with Eddie.
The Phantom ones?
Yes. He didn't wear the shirt. He just wore the tights. It was the tights though. It wasn't like, I talked to him about it. He said that he had to lose like a bunch of weight right before the match because Ray sent them to him. And yeah, he said like those were the legit pants, the tights from Halloween Havoc. And then he was like, "I'll wash them before I send it back to you." And Ray was like, "No, don't wash them. Don't wash them." So now, now those tights exist and they have Ray and Escobar's DNA on them.
I'll be damned.
It's amazing, huh?
It's fascinating, Sam.
Yeah.
We learn something every day.
So Escobar is somebody that you'd like to.
Yeah.
You'd like to.
Sami Zayn.
Yeah, he's putting the feelers
Put a little thing out there, talking about how he asked to wrestle me a couple SummerSlams ago.
Did you have any idea that had happened?
No, he didn't. That was the first I heard of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, I was thinking just now, you got your 2 Hall of Fame rings on.
Yeah.
Which look awesome, by the way. See, who could do that? How different was the Hall of Fame this year?
Wait.
I'm so happy for you that you got that induction in person. And then you get to drive the Jeep in and everything. That was badass. But I'm so happy for you that you got to do the Hall of Fame induction in person. Because while it's amazing to be in the Hall of Fame and it's cool to have, just gone in at all, I got to imagine that it was nowhere near the same going in on the taped show with no audience.
Oh yeah, it was crazy because like we were just like, I would say something, I would like say what I was saying, and I go, let me do that again, and then I'd redo it, or just babble, ramble on. Like it was just, we were just throwing sound bites out there, and just they made some like that was the end result. When it was just like a hodgepodge of a bunch of like sound bites.
It was literally just a TV show.
Yeah.
It was like a TV show that was edited together.
And they were like, you got 3 minutes. I'm like, I'm probably going to give you about a minute and a half of that back.
Yeah. Sounds okay to you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. That's awesome. Well, look, if you haven't already.
That's all you got?
I mean, that's not all I got.
That's all you got for me?
That's not all I got. I'm just trying not to monopolize every minute of your time. By the way.
I was just about to say, you got the original NWO shirt on.
Yeah.
Before they put the New World Order on.
Yeah, this is the original.
Yeah.
I had to pay top dollar for it, but I wanted the original, and I got it. Does it boggle your mind now that like the NWO shirts are still like one of the hottest shirts in wrestling?
No.
Like, people love it.
Yeah. Well, because it's not like it's a cool logo, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a wrestling shirt.
Right.
Right? It's like it's just what New World Order, like it's not like a picture of a wrestler on there or like something else that identifies it as wrestling.
Black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So simple.
So simple.
It's about the simplest thing you could even imagine.
Yeah. Did you ever speaking of black and white, when they started doing Wolfpack, official, like the red and black Wolfpack, and you were like, oh, it's like the cool members of the NWO, right? I mean, Hall should have been in it, but it's like, I mean, eventually he was, but like when it's Nash and K-Dog and all those guys, was there any part of you, even though that you were having tremendous success, obviously, that was like, oh, it'd be cool.
The Wolfpack's me, Scott, and Kev.
Well, no, I mean, I'm assuming that you would, but was there any part of you that been like, oh, it would have been cool to wear the red and black, or you didn't care?
Sure.
Yeah.
I never thought of that, but if I had never left, I could imagine the Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Because we shot that. We did that shit on our own. All of a sudden, we're just going on TV saying we're the Wolfpack. And nobody okayed it or, it's just, you could do shit like that, man.
Yeah.
You shoot your own angles, like right under their noses. And
was it difficult to go back to WWE where you could not get away with as much, or do you kind of
get away with it?
You even
when I came back here,
you're still doing it.
Well, only because they just gave me free reign.
Right.
Not because I took it; they gave it to me.
That's so interesting. Like you had kind of earned it.
Yeah, I took it down there.
Right.
They gave it to me.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So, did anybody ask you like, "Hey, man, when you say your ass is grass and I'm gonna smoke it"? Like, did
you smoke ass? I mean, it's a fucking figure of speech, dipshit.
Yeah, it's a weed reference, not an ass reference. But was there anybody that was like, you can't be making like drug references like that?
No one said a thing.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Do you think they
made a shirt on it?
I know they did. Do you feel like it went over? There were people's heads that went over, or they just didn't care?
They just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like, how could that go over your head? What the fuck, man?
Yeah, you were literally like, I'm going to smoke it.
Yeah.
Like, what else are we talking about?
Your ass is grass. I'm going to smoke it.
It'd be like that lawyer going like, what are you going to smoke? You're like, weed. Like back to that deposition where he's like, suck what? You're like, what do you think? Well, you're doing it all, man. By the way, this too. Talking about like current product stuff. Do you think, because like obviously you're a big part of the Monday Night War. I feel like one of the things that made the Monday Night War so big was people going back and forth. I hope that like we start seeing that again. I feel like that's what we're missing with. I mean, AEW's here.
Who's going to show up this week?
That's what I mean. Like, yeah, I mean, everybody's locking people down to these contracts, which is good, I guess. But like, man, I'd love to see like talent
you
from
know,
over
there's all
there
this
show up
hemming and
over
hawing,
here.
like from the company, you know, release this person because their guarantee is too high. Like, look, yeah, I know. Like the more people get paid in wrestling, like it just seems like the more money everyone makes.
Right.
You know, like fuck it, man, pay everyone.
Yeah.
And trust me, the money will just keep coming in. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
People be happy to work
Yeah.
for what they're making.
Yeah.
No, totally. Pro Wrestling for Life is your podcast now. I love Tic Tac Toe Hold.
Yeah.
It's my favorite new game show. Because I do it like, I mean, people, it's silly, but like, when you hear it, you play along.
Yeah.
Like I play every time I'm watching it. Like sometimes I'm like fast forwarding through the interview to get to Tic Tac Toe Hold because I want to see if I'm better than the person or whatever. But yeah, I love it. You can get it on YouTube.
Oh, you know where else we're gonna be starting the 15th?
What?
Fight TV.
You're gonna be on Fight TV.
Yeah.
I love Fight TV.
Yeah, me too.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
a good spot for it too.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're not. Are you gonna? Is it gonna be for free? Or you're gonna have to pay
it's free.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Got tease.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Fight TV is great. Fight TV. I love the Fight TV and like the independent wrestling TV app. I love that those things exist because just the idea that like
High spots.
high
all that
spots,
shit.
that the whole world has access to these indie shows now.
Yep.
It changes everything. Yeah. Well, look, man, I appreciate you hanging out here in the studio, seeing the Notsam studio for the first time, and
It's a
giving me your
wonderful
time.
thing, Sam. It's a beautiful studio you have here.
Well, I appreciate that, man. You're a wonderful thing.
Thanks.
You got it. Thanks, man.